I am recording.
Are you though?
I am. I always record. I just usually start the stream first.
I see.
You're
All right.
recording your audio too, right?
Huh? Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I record the whole thing. I record the stream and everything. Cause I use OBS to record.
Oh,
So I
But
think
I mean, do you save it as an audio file that you can send to me,
I don't know.
or is it a video file?
It's whatever the default for OBS is. So I believe it's a multi-track. So I have two tracks, for two audio tracks on mine. I have my desktop audio, which is all of you guys talking and any other sounds apparently, as I found out, as well as my mic.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I turned off the track for my chair. So, all right, you ready to start the stream?
Yeah, start the stream.
Alright.
Start the stream. Already a little bit behind. Okay.
I have started the stream.
Thank you. Is there anybody here?
No, it says 0.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you say you were streaming on Facebook, Sean?
on Facebook? No,
Yeah.
just on Twitch.
Yeah, no, it says going live soon.
No,
on
but I
Facebook.
mean, did you make a Facebook post?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I did.
yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to see it. We'll be streaming. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and start then.
Okay.
People can pop in as they like. Sound good to you?
I took notes
Let's
this
do it.
time, so I'm ready.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Late Night Cage Fight, the Nicolas Cage podcast, where we watch every Nicolas Cage film, rank them, battle over them, and in the end, have the definitive list of only the best Nick Cage film of all time. We have another very special podcast. While we are doing a battle between Nick Cage's Time to Kill and Wild at Heart, we also have a special guest with us. Matt, say hello.
Hello, it's me. I'm Matt.
Matt is a friend of ours, also from Ohio. We're all Ohio boys here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and talk about us first. Matt is actually the original inspiration for Late Night Cage Fight. He is the one that kind of woke Steve and I up to the fact,
#woke.
#woke, that Nick Cage is so amazing and has done some tremendous movies that we just didn't know about. And he personally showed us these movies.
I did.
And it became such an event that it was almost, I would say, at least a monthly event with its own name, Nick Cage Appreciation Night. We would watch 2 to
In
3 in Cannes, 2 to 3
Yeah.
Nick Cage movies
That's
in a
right.
row,
Yeah,
and try to stay awake and sober through all of it.
right. Yes, I think I was drinking Smirnoff Triple Black and Southern Comfort at the time.
I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So before Nicolas Cage Appreciation Night, Matt, when did you first become a fan of Nick's?
I was pretty young, I guess. I was watching him in, I think it's a movie called Wind Talkers or something. Yeah. And he was just kind of goofy. It was like a super serious movie, but he was just like kind of goofy. And it wasn't boring anymore because it was just like all these regular adults being like hard military dudes, and then
Uh-huh.
Nicolas Cage being himself, and you're just like, wow. Kind of feel a little bit better about yourself, you know? He's somebody to be so ridiculous. But I guess
Yeah.
it didn't really kick off until the first time I saw The Wicker Man.
Oh yeah, that was one
yeah.
you were really excited to show us. Was the Wicker Man?
Yeah, I was so pumped to share it with you guys
And do you remember how
because he was
disappointed I
just
was?
oh
Because I had
yeah
watched the original.
yeah, and I was just like so happy. I was just so happy. Yeah, it was a good day.
We're super pumped for the Wicker Man here. We still of course have quite a few films before that one, but that's definitely one of Nick Cage's highlights.
Right.
The
Yeah.
reimagining. of the
It's
Wicker Man.
yeah. I'm really into things that are just so worth your time because they're just really bad. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's hard to watch. You know, it's just absurd. I'm into that absurdity. Everything's just
Mhm.
crazy these days, and it's
Yeah.
nice to have some just absolutely nuts, wacko shit to just zone out to.
There you go. And Cage is perfect for that.
Absolutely.
Have you
He's
seen
the-
any of his
he's the
latest
king.
wacko, nut shit, insane movies like Mandy or Color Out of Space?
I did see Mandy, but I don't know what the second film you mentioned was.
Color Out of Space. It's an H.P. Lovecraft
No,
short
you probably
story.
like
that-
it.
Yeah.
I think it's right up your
I
alley.
imagine I would. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
give that one a goog.
You should, man. And we also have a whole episode committed to that one too.
Tight.
It was Steve's favorite.
Yeah, yeah. I went back and watched it
his-
again.
His absolute favorite genre.
Yeah,
Yes.
couldn't get enough.
Couldn't get enough, which makes me really excited for Steve to talk about Wild at Heart. I really want to get his thoughts on
yeah.
that.
It's, I'm
yeah.
excited for that too.
Cool. Well, thanks for being with us here as a special guest cage fighter. Of course, we'd like to have you around more often, so you're always welcome to be a part of the group. We are going to ask you your opinion as well, but I get the feeling that this isn't really going to be much of a cage fight. You know, I don't want to jump the gun here, but yeah,
Right.
there's quite a
Yeah.
stark difference between these two movies
Oh my
in terms
God.
of quality.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, in just about every aspect. But before we get into the movies, let's talk a little bit about some Nick Cage news. There's been some really big news that's dropped in the last 3 days, actually. Right now, they are filming a new movie starring Nicolas Cage called Willy's Wonderland. Have you guys heard about this?
No, I have not.
I have not.
Dude, it's Nick Cage in what is basically a live-action Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
What?
Huh?
I swear to you, that's what the story is. He's going to be he's in an abandoned theme park or something, and he's fighting off killer animatronic creatures.
So when's this come out?
It's
And
Nick
can I
Cage versus
pre-order
Chuck E.
tickets?
Cheese.
Dude, I wish I could be on set right now. I want to see the costumes or the special effects. I want to see what these things look like.
I want to see how many of them come out of his personal collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta do this. I already got them in my room.
do you think they just got all the animatronics because Chuck E. Cheese's is going out of business? They're like, oh, we could just snap those up real quick for.
That's what it is.
Yeah, probably.
Nick dumped all of his money
$100.
into it. He was
Yeah,
like, "This is a sure thing.
well-
Realty wasn't doing too well for me. You know what the money is? Animatronics."
He was probably a huge showbiz fan before Chuck E. Cheese. He
Yeah.
was probably like, the Rockafire Explosion. He was their biggest fan. That was the animatronic band that played at Chuck E. Cheese before they came in and like the evil white slavers, as George Lucas would call them, came in and took over. Yeah, I'm super pumped. There was somebody on Reddit said that he was disappointed in the title and that it should have been named Nine Nights at Nick's. And I thought that was really funny. man.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. All
Will
right.
there
Well,
be a game adaptation though?
will there be a game adaptation? That's the thing. Cage has been in so many damn movies, and yet you can't play him in a video game yet, as far as I know. Right? Is there a Ghost
Not
Rider
that
video
I
game?
know of.
G-Force.
There is a G-Force game.
Oh, that's tight. He's like a hamster in that.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, let's jump into Time to Kill. Time to Kill. 1989. Last year of the 80s. Last film for Nicolas Cage of the 80s. And by God, was it a doozy.
Yeah.
Where do we
What a
even
shit show.
Where do we start with Time to Kill? I can tell you it's difficult to find nowadays. It is. We did watch it on YouTube. Thankfully, somebody uploaded it in its entirety to YouTube. But it appears like in order for them to present the full movie uncut, they actually had to chop in certain scenes from the Italian release. And It's
Yeah.
very strange. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot you can find about this movie. We know that it's Italian made. It features a lot of Italian actors in it speaking English. It's got kind of this aimless, meandering plot. The music was done by Oscar-winning composer Ennio Morricone, really famous classical composer. So it's like you hear this amazing music, but it's just kind of pathetic what that music is playing to. It's sad.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to sum this up in one sentence, I'd say that Time to Kill, it's just like Vampire's Kiss, except instead of vampires, Nick Cage stumbles around war-torn Ethiopia, mumbling, "I'm a leper. I've got leprosy. I'm a leper." It's also like 1,000 times harder to watch than Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah. It's
Unfortunately, I don't have a Nick list this time, so guys, don't hate me. We'll go through these movies though, and we'll talk about some of the cagey.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Scenes
I took
like
a few notes.
Good. I want your notes, Steve.
My
Probably-
notes. Yeah, my notes are all chronological. So, and sometimes I just write down random phrases, so I don't always remember exactly what I meant.
That's
But-
cool. I'm just gonna read the synopsis from IMDb, and then I'll let you. Then I want to talk about your notes, Steve.
Okay.
All right. It's 1936. The Italian army is invading Ethiopia. Lieutenant Silvestri, Nicolas Cage, suffers a toothache and decides to reach the nearest camp hospital. But the lorry, the truck, has an accident and stops near a rock. So Silvestri continues by walking. Wow, this is a terribly written synopsis.
Isn't it?
On his way, he meets and rapes a
Oh,
wonderful young
no.
Ethiopian.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know they just said that.
Yeah. It's in there. We're gonna have to talk about it, and
Yeah.
it pains me a lot.
Oh,
He also
no,
wounds her. Should we just let Steve go through it?
No. So.
With that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd just like to say that on IMDb, the very first two plot keywords on the listing are interracial rape and murder.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
think
just
that
surprised I didn't just go look and read that before I saw it. Yeah.
Do you think Nick saw that in the script on the front page and was like, "I'll do it. I will do it."
Sorry, I interrupted you when you said the rapes part because I was gonna mention as I finished this movie, my first thought was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting 30 years ago, and this is somewhat. It's an issue and it's being brought to light. I don't necessarily think they did a good job of making it better, but at least making it known that this kind of shit happens and that I don't think you're ever really supposed to feel
bad.
good for Nick, but I don't know that you're ever really supposed to feel bad for him either.
That's the confusion.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but the thing that really tore me away from feeling like it was a progressive movie was when I read the actual, not the IMDb synopsis, but the synopsis on the back of the box,
Okay.
which clearly says he meets and has sex with a local.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it
I
very
had the
much
VHS tape.
yeah, it very much sounded like it was a consensual, relationship.
Why don't I read the back of the VHS box? Then?
Okay.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage delivers a powerful performance as Enrico, a young soldier stationed in Africa whose struggle to survive the consequences of a passionate crime ignites an obsessive search for rescue and redemption. A painful toothache becomes the catalyst. That is so goddamn cheesy.
Yes.
Becomes the catalyst for a series of bizarre events when Enrico abandons his camp in search of a dentist, but finds instead a hidden oasis and sanctuary with an exotic young African woman. A brief moment of violent lust gives way to an unexpected bond of friendship, but their passionate encounter comes to an abrupt end when she is mortally wounded one night by one of his stray bullets. Yeah, because he's an idiot.
But reading this, sorry, finish.
Guilt-ridden, Enrico covers up his crime, only to be confronted with the chilling realization that she may have infected him with leprosy. Haunted by the threat of banishment, and fearful he may never be allowed to go home again, Enrico embarks upon a desperate odyssey, searching for the truth in her past and the fate of his future.
So this is why I say IMDb's wrong. This is a love story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It definitely tried to make you feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after
There was a lot of
After
that.
yes.
I mean, the movie started off with who was it? Ernest Hemingway? Was that the dude that was hanging around with Nick the whole time?
Yeah. Okay, Ernest Hemingway. I'll take it.
Honestly, I
Okay.
didn't know what was going on through
Uh-huh.
the start. It was just everything kind of jumped in very abruptly, and
What do you need to know, Steve? Nick Cage has a toothache.
I didn't really understand the setting. I didn't know what was going on. It just get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here. I thought he was.
Okay,
I thought he was
so-
draft dodging or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. This movie was originally an Italian novel, war novel, and I haven't even verified this. I get this from comments I'm reading on the YouTube movie and stuff. So I'm not exactly sure, but it makes sense if it was. It was a novel where all of these themes could definitely work in a novel much better than it did in a movie like this, I think.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Yeah, maybe it was a best-selling novel, and then you also have to realize this was an Italian production. So I believe it was meant for an Italian audience who is already familiar with this period in history, which was the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, is what it's known as. Is the lead in to World War II when Italy invaded Ethiopia and committed atrocities, as you can see.
Yeah. That was some of my challenge getting into it. Was just not really understanding the history behind it very well.
Yeah, me too. I didn't quite get it. I didn't really know who was fighting who. You don't really get any action sequences like that.
Yeah, I
You know?
wasn't even sure. Yeah, there didn't seem to be a war at all.
I wasn't really sure why it was called Time to Kill because, like, he doesn't kill anyone.
Can we just talk about how stupid his character is?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got this toothache, but he won't let the dentist in his command deal with it. He wants to go see the
I made a note somewhere. but
other dentist.
At some point in the movie, I decided this was actually the prequel to Bad Lieutenant.
Me too. Oh yeah, this could be the prequel to Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the fucking iguanas.
I know.
Which makes that line make sense.
There's a scene where Nick Cage's character gives his cigarette to a lizard, and it's a real lizard.
Yeah.
You know, this is 1989. You know, it wasn't claymation. This was a real lizard, and they leave the camera hanging on this, and the interesting thing about it is that sequence was actually cut out of the movie in the UK version. I'm assuming for animal cruelty reasons. But what is it about Italian movies and using real animals? Also, I remember the horses. There are dead horses in this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen dead horses before, and I swear to God, these are real dead horses. They probably didn't kill them for the movie, but there's no way that these are just models or something. It just reminds me of you guys remember Cannibal Holocaust? I know
Oh
Max.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was super famous for the animal cruelty that they had in that, which was meant to make you question the human cruelty as well. It's just like, what is up with that? Why we gotta hurt animals, guys?
Well,
Yeah.
Cool.
But where have you seen dead horses, though?
Where have I seen dead horses?
You can't just drop that with no context.
Yeah, I've seen it on people's property where their horse has been put out to pasture, so to speak.
Mm.
Do you want me to name names? Are you
Yes.
are you accusing me of killing horses?
Should I be?
No. I like animals. If I had a horse, it would die though, just because I don't know what I'm doing. It would die from me being
Starvation.
stupid.
I mean,
Starvation.
sometimes
You accidentally shoot.
sometimes you just need some glue.
There, yeah. Is glue really? Does it really have horses in it?
Oh yeah. Their
Oh,
hooves and
man.
shit.
All right, so Nick Cage has this toothache. He decides to go to.
He goes to the construction site because there's supposed to be a doctor there, but apparently
Okay,
the doctor's out, and so this really thirsty boy comes up to him. That guy looked, like really strange character. I honestly assumed that he was going to follow him off in the woods and there was going to be some romance thing there or something.
Dude, there's something missing.
Yeah.
with that part.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, there is. There
he was
is for
thirsty.
sure.
That guy's like, hey, don't take the main road. It's pointless. Take
Yeah.
my secret route.
Yeah.
And Nick Cage is like, I won't even ask anyone else. I'll just go.
Yeah.
I'll believe you and do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they wandered off
So-
like together, and then like they just kept smiling at each other.
Yeah. And then Nick Cage, that's when eventually he runs into the female character,
Just a
the
woman.
Ethiopian woman,
Yeah.
who is bathing in a pond of some kind.
So in order
And
to
I guess-
ask her for help, he just starts taking off his clothing. Can you
Right,
help
yep.
me? Can you help me? Hold on. You can't. Do you not understand English? Maybe if I take off my shirt.
Yeah. I like how he sexually assaults her, and then when that's all done, he says to her, it'd be nice if we spoke the same language, then we could have a conversation. Wouldn't that be great?
Well, then he pays her.
That's right. He pays her.
Yeah, because he realizes she doesn't understand. So that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
then-
he pair of shorts?
No, he paid her in. He tried to give her money, and she didn't want that. He gave her his watch and something else. The Bible.
The Bible. That's
Yeah.
a big,
Oh, yeah.
big key point.
Yeah.
Here's a Bible. Can't read it, but here's a Bible.
Yep.
And then she seems to warm up to him a bit, and so they stay the night in this cave.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the night, what was it? Was it a cougar?
Hyena.
So I want to point out one other thing from that transition, because I made a note of this, and I think it's funny because I made numerous notes of this throughout the movie and the evolution of it. But
Right.
when he first meets her in the water, she has a single body wrap that she clearly wraps around herself. But
Yeah.
at that night in the cave, she has stitched clothing.
Uh-oh. continuity issue, you think?
No, I think it's intentional because throughout the entire movie, the clothing, the speech patterns, and everything of every black character evolved to more Western styles. Even the architecture slowly evolves into very Western styles.
Okay. I'll have to think about that, but that's an interesting observation for sure. Well, what happens is they're attacked by, you think it's a hyena, Sean?
Yeah.
All right, and he shoots the hyena. Does he even hit it? Does he even hit the damn thing?
No.
I don't think so.
He shoots at it, the bullet ricochets, and hits the girl that's sleeping.
Are you sure it's a hyena? I thought it was the dog from Duck Hunt.
And then, as far as we know, she just dies at this point in the movie, and then he covers it up. He buries her body in a shallow grave in the village. And then he returns back to his command, right? They find him.
Well, it's like flash forward for us, and then
Right.
the next thing is him walking back into Post or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or no. He wanders off again. And he sees a bunch of people walking through the forest. And he says those are Marin's people.
Right.
They're all like dancing or something.
Yeah. In fact, it's her family.
Yeah.
One is her dad, one of the people. One is her brother, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's just, gosh. Then you remember meeting the major, crazy guy.
Yeah.
He's an important character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he acts like he is. Oh, that's right. So Nick Cage's character is trying to get furloughed. He's trying to get leave away from the command so he can go back to Italy and be with his wife. And that's his main goal, is what it comes to. And this whole process, he's got his buddy Ernest Hemingway, his partner in crime. I don't remember.
I never caught his name. He was second lieutenant, though, if I remember right.
Second lieutenant. I think that guy is probably a good actor. He's probably super famous in Italy or something. But God, I got so sick of seeing close-ups of his face and his mustache and watching him smoke.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
What was that about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of
then you
emphasis
have
on smoking in these movies.
So you have this major character who reels them into drinking in his cabin. They find out he's running some kind of small-time black market out of his cabin. And he takes them out for a night on the town and tricks them into trying to hook up with these local Ethiopian girls who are in white robes, and then reveals to them that if they're wearing white robes, they have leprosy. That's the sign of leprosy in Ethiopia at this time. And then Nick Cage, he has this wound on his hand that's been hurting and doesn't seem to be healing at all. He gets it in his head. Oh shit, this girl I was with had leprosy, and she must have given it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't know that you could get leprosy like that.
I don't think you can, really.
Really?
But I think that was part of the myth of it, though, is that people always assumed that you could get it from like direct contact. Well, but it's something that it's a lot more invasive. I don't actually
one of
know
the
how you get
stupidest, one of the absolutely stupidest
With
scenes
viewers
in
who
this movie
does,
is
yeah.
when Nick Cage goes to see the doctor. He has to get some kind of doctor stamp, I think, or a written note in order to be allowed to get on the ship. So he has to go see the doctor, and he's got his hand wrapped up, and he says, he's like, I've got this friend. Let's say I've got this friend, right? And he happened to sleep with, somebody who has leprosy. Just hypothetically, like, could he get leprosy? And the doctor's like, you're writing a novel. Interesting. I have this book that's very important to me that has all of these maladies in it and how to catch shit and how to cure it. Let's read what it says about leprosy. And he reads it, and Nick Cage is like, yeah, oh God, I have leprosy. Shit. And the doctor's like, yeah. The person who's writing this novel, I would say that the character probably has leprosy. In fact, why don't you just take my doctor's book that I need to do my job? Just take it with you. And then write your novel. Make me famous too. And then Nick Cage, what was it? Oh, the guy then insists. He's like, I have to see your hand. I'm sorry. Let me wash my hands or something. And then Nick Cage tries to murder the guy and can't even fucking land a shot to kill the dude.
He's a vampire.
He shoots at the guy and then just takes off.
Well, he's obviously not a very good shot if you haven't figured that out yet.
But why does he only try to shoot him once?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Why?
Does he just gives up?
I mean, he had no trouble covering up murdering that other woman, so why wouldn't he kill the dude, hide his body real quick if he can, and then get the stamp or get whatever the hell he needs to get on the boat? Because then when he gets to the ship, he finds that he gets on the ship early.
When he went to talk
one
to
of the captains or whatever gets on, is like, hey, bro, you can't be on here, man. What are you doing? You gotta get in line. You gotta show your papers, man. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, okay. And you even think he's gonna kill that guy, right? Didn't you? Didn't you think he was gonna kill the captain of the ship?
For sure.
It was so ridiculous.
But once again, in a movie called Time to Kill, nobody gets killed.
It's not the time.
And how
it's
many
not time.
times?
It's not time.
All right, and then the real twist is he ends up. He thinks he's suffering from leprosy and experiencing all these symptoms, and he's tired and he's losing it, and he ends up being cared for by the father of the girl he killed. He in his tribal village, I guess. I guess this dude's the only one left. Maybe everyone else was murdered or fled the violence. But this guy's caring for Nick Cage because he remembers that this Italian lieutenant was there with her, I think. And just like randomly, well, Nick Cage sees the Bible that he gave to his daughter, and he tells the guy, "Yeah, I killed your daughter. I'll show you where she is." He's like, "Oh, what? Show me." And then he shows the guy where he buried her, and then the guy loses it, of course. He discovers his daughter's been murdered, and this is the guy who did it. And he just has this moment of fury, but then it just seems like he's over it. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, very strange.
I thought that there was going to be kind of this ironic conclusion where Nick Cage, his desire is to get back to Italy because he wants to be with his wife, even though he's a cheating, murdering, shitty shooting bastard. And so the irony would be he can't ever leave, and he's going to spend the rest of his days in this village in Ethiopia. I thought that would be kind of an interesting ending. Is that what happens? No.
No, this isn't Pocahontas.
He gets his shit together and... What?
This isn't Pocahontas.
That's right. It's not Pocahontas. This is real life. Yeah. He makes his way. Well, he finds out from the woman's father that she didn't have leprosy, which is the one thing we really needed to know. Mm-hmm. And that I guess it was all just him deluding himself, thinking he had this affliction. Mm-hmm. And he makes it back to the ship, and they get on, and Ernest Hemingway's like, "Oh man, good to see you again." Are you still there?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
What about him stealing the money from the major?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've got some good notes around that point. So let's see, where is it? So when he first meets, All right, so the major, right? The major and first lieutenant and second lieutenant, right? Reese, I don't know what's going on with your voice. You muted yourself or something. Sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Well, anyways, Reese. Some of the other notes, like I said, throughout the movie, it seemed like they constantly evolved with the racial stereotypes and the whitewashing of the entire Ethiopian culture. From the beginning, where she obviously doesn't speak any English whatsoever, yet ironically, apparently the rest of her family is very fluent, which makes that beginning very interesting. Of course, after being raped, she slowly, shines up to him. The first thing he does when he meets her father in town was start screaming at him, who the fuck are you? And as soon as he responds that he's a Christian, he's like, okay, I can move on then. I honestly believe that they were the enemy, that they were there fighting like Ethiopian tribes or something, and that there was just a small faction of people that they had, subjugated or something. Or maybe even slaves, I don't know.
Well, I guess it was Italy invading Ethiopia.
Was it? So I guess that's accurate then. That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of like weird, because there was even a point, like one of the first, early on, they show a bunch of people standing up on one of the cliff edge. And they even had like, both the kids were completely nude. Like I said, throughout the whole movie, like the clothing, language, everything. Where is it? So yeah, they go out with the major, the first lieutenant, the second lieutenant. And I really want to reach for this, being the whole military family. But I don't understand ranks at this point, because they seem to answer to the major like he's a big deal. But then, as soon as he walks out of the room, they're super catty. Like about him and like with each other. I don't feel like that happens. I don't know how big of a jump that is, but
I mean, isn't everybody like that with their boss?
yeah, I guess that's true. You do have that sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, I did look it up, and you cannot contract leprosy from contact.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically long-term contact with somebody with leprosy, but you tend to. It's not a very contagious disease.
Okay.
And it's usually from mucus secretions. Usually from sneezing or coughing. So if he just wore a mask, in this movie, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what he should have done.
Mm-hmm.
Should have done.
Maybe they can recut the movie and just
Put everyone in masks.
just CG it in,
So at one point, the major, how does he end up in the truck with? Let's see. So Cage tries to leave on the boat, and then he can't get a stamp. So he slept in the woods, and then how did he run into the major? That's the part I don't remember.
Well, before that, he wasn't he in a restaurant or something, and he asked one of the people like, "Oh, I'm looking for a boat."
That's right.
I think it was because they had a boat because they were transporting supplies or something, and he was basically just asking to be a stowaway.
Yeah.
And I forget what amount of money they asked, but they asked for like a shit ton of money, and he's like, can I just pay you when I get back to Italy? They're like, fuck you.
That's right.
So, so I forget how he meets up with the Major, but I think he was asking him for a ride or something.
Yeah.
And then he just gets out and is just like, oh, I'm just going to walk the rest of the way. And he just, like, goes into his bag and steals a bunch of money from him. Oh, Reese,
Can you
you're
guys
back.
hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Oh, this is not good. I'm going in and out.
Huh. Oh, now he's out again.
Uh-oh.
So, while they're on the way out that road, So before that, he meets up with the Major that night, and I don't know what happened because I looked away for a minute, and when I looked back, he's in bed with another woman, Cage is, at the Major's house before they went out in the truck together. And I have no idea what the hell happened, but I remember him waking up in a bed with another woman.
I forgot about that. Wasn't that like a brothel?
Yeah.
They went to a brothel.
Yeah. So I was thinking that Nick was still fucking around, even though he thinks he's a vampire or leper.
I mean, is there a difference? Let's be real.
Not really. And I know the whole time they were heading out in the truck, so they passed a group of monkeys and then a flipped truck. So I was really expecting both of those to be a precursor to, like, the tribe attack that was finally the fated attack that was going to happen, where Nick busts out all of his killing moves. But nothing. We didn't get any of it. Instead, we get...
When the time to kill occurs.
I thought it was time, but it was definitely not time yet. Instead, it was time for Nick to steal a bunch of money, and the fancy Major dude to say to fuck you and fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the movie ends.
Pretty much. He did go into the village though, and he pulls out a bunch of weeds to start chasing a horse with, because I don't really know what the plan with that was, but I'm sure there was some value to it, and also violated their Fourth Amendment by just taking a house. But at that point, the father character, his clothes had evolved all the way up to Jedi robes. He had full like fitted pants and like the everything. So very well done. And then Cage had actually started to de-evolve to the point where he was wearing ratty clothes and just more and more unkept throughout the whole thing. So that's where I started thinking it was going to be kind of like a Pocahontas kind of theme, where it was supposed to be the white man learning the native ways, and and I thought that was going to be the moral of the story.
This movie was actually one of the many inspirations for the hit movie James Cameron's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. That's pretty much the end of my notes. The only other thing I didn't really know is how he got back to the troops and got back to, the number of people that he had pissed off, threatened, or everything, and somehow he made it back in with everybody. I don't know.
At the end,
because he shot the doctor. He threatened and blackmailed his boss. And he's walked out on his post numerous times. And he gets back and everyone's like, fuck it. It's Cage. What are you going to do?
At the end of the movie, didn't the narrator say that his like friend died or something.
I also made it, yeah, there was something weird like that. And it also kind of made it sound like the boat never made it back. Because there was some, like, presumptuous... I didn't see him again after that, but then we were supposed to make it back or something like that. We were supposed to go back to Italy. It left it open-ended, like, you're supposed to know also that the boat that was coming back was, I don't know, bombed or something. I mean, I guess it is
Yeah,
not the right timing, but...
It's kind of just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were we supposed to care about that character?
Right. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just like a highly problematic film. I feel like they had attempted to make it kind of like Cannibal Holocaust, to where at the end you can kind of look back through and be like, wow, this told a story that the most brutal thing in nature is actually humankind, which is like, I think what they were trying to tell in this story, but it was just, the plot was just so thin. And now that I heard the review on the box itself, it just, even deepens the problems that I have, especially with the rape scene,
Mm-hmm.
And the fact, I think Steve, you mentioned this earlier, the fact that everybody kind of feels sorry for him,
Yeah.
and they kind of like, there's all these scenes where they're treating him to drinks or food or women, like, to cheer him up or something.
Wait,
It's like,
and yeah, when you get all the way to the end and you find out that he actually, it wasn't that she just accidentally died. He put a cloth over her head and blew her fucking brains out. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even something that was. I mean, there was. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought
So it's just confusing, because it's like, okay, was this a good story about just how shitty people are? Because that's all I really got from it. And like, good on you if that was your point, I guess, but I don't know what the point was.
Yeah.
I just thought the most problematic part about the beginning scene was just that they go through with the rape scene, and then afterwards it's almost just like, oh yeah, she's totally cool with this now.
Mm-hmm.
This horrible traumatic thing just happened to you, but we're friends now. It's cool. We're in love. It's like,
Right, like, protect me from that alligator.
Mm-hmm.
oh, Nick.
Oh, Nick.
I'm sorry. So did you guys say you liked it?
We're saving that for the cage fight, right?
That's true. That's true. I mean, honestly, I know that my stuff cut out for the last 7-8 minutes or so,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really think that there's a whole lot more to be said about this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even in the top 5 Nick Cage movies of the 80s that have rape scenes.
Yeah, for real.
Well, actually, I was going to challenge that at first, but there might actually be more.
I was just
pretty
gonna say
interesting pattern.
it was just like Cotton Club 2.0 for me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's high praise.
thank you. Have you seen the Cotton Club, Matt?
I have not. Am I missing out?
No.
That's.
That
Steve hasn't seen it either.
is one I still have yet to watch.
Sean hasn't seen it either. It's just
No.
me.
I'm still getting
Any
caught
other
up on season 1.
Yeah, well, that's one to miss.
Yeah. Heard.
So,
Well,
Wild
shall we
Heart.
jump to the 90s?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Wild at Heart, 1990 comedy crime drama film directed by the legendary David Lynch. He also wrote the screenplay. I just want to say that I haven't seen too many David Lynch films. I remember having his short films a long time ago and liking them. I've seen Eraserhead. That was one that I watched and liked a lot. But as far as the other heavy hitters of his filmography, like I've never seen Blue Velvet, I've never seen Lost Highway, I've never seen Inland Empire. And so I honestly, going into this one, I had no idea what I was getting into. I knew it was going to be Lynchian. I didn't quite know exactly what that meant, but of course, with the very first scene, you start to understand exactly how this movie's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what I expected. So what's the story? The movie follows Lula, played by Laura Dern, and her psychopathic mother, who goes crazy at the thought of Lula being with Sailor, Nicolas Cage, who just got out of jail. I love the Nick Cage movies where he just got out of jail. Those are great.
He's so bad.
Ignoring Sailor's probation, they set out for California. Oh, like Rumblefish. However, their mother hires a killer to hunt down Sailor. Unaware of this, the two enjoy their journey and themselves being together until they witness a young woman dying after a car accident, a bad omen. That's interesting that that's in the storyline, because I felt like that was an important scene, but I don't consider that, just in my memory of it, I don't consider it like that pivotal.
What's that?
Compared to the major story. But, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
so really thought about it.
Yeah. What'd you guys think?
So, I mean, my first few notes from the movie, the first 4 lines on my notepad here is Fire, High School Cage,
Fire.
Marietta, Metal Death. At that point, I
Metal
sent
Death?
Metal Death. At that point, I sent the text to the group at the 5-minute mark saying, "What in the absolute fuck are you fucking me right now?" This movie started off really fucking intense.
On a high note, to say the least.
Yeah.
I said, I haven't seen a lot of Lynch's movies, but I get the sense that his style is well suited to balancing the very kind of philosophical, tasteful, artsy shots, cinematic sequences with the very low, repulsive, vulgar, disgusting. And I felt like the first scene was a great representation of that. I just felt it was very
Absolutely.
Lynchian. Because it starts out with that beautiful shot of the ceiling and pans down, and everyone's looking nice and classy and clean, and here we are, wherever we are, having a good time. And then you just have this guy come out of nowhere. He's talking to Cage very aggressively. You're like, who is this dude? Are they friends? Ah, Lula's mama sent me. You're just trying to score with her in the bathroom. This is from Lula's mama. And then he starts trying to stab him. Like,
Mhm.
what the hell's going on? And then Nick Cage, in the most brutal fashion, beats the shit out of this guy. Gives him probably one of the bloodiest concussions I've ever seen.
Does a
Before
pretty good
killing
job.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wasn't this one called A Time to Kill?
This was the time to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy movie. I don't know where you guys want to start with it. It's an interesting romance. It kind of reminded me of the movie True Romance,
Mm-hmm.
written by
Oh, sure. Hmm.
Tarantino. I think wrote that one, and it actually may have been inspired by this film because I don't know when it was made, but I think it was made a little later than 1990. But Nick Cage, he just got out of jail, and he's this Elvis Presley wannabe character with a
Mm-hmm.
snakeskin jacket, and they love metal.
Side note on the snakeskin jacket. I made a note of it as soon as he introduced it with the first line of "This is all about my individuality, me expressing myself." I was like, "This is Nick Cage improv." I looked it up.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Nick asked
Was
if
it really?
he could wear his snakeskin jacket. He wore it throughout the whole time, and then at the end of filming, he gave it to the Lola.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's interesting.
I wonder how much he paid for that snakeskin jacket.
Probably more than it was worth.
Like $35.
Yeah, let's see some of the other actors in it. I was really surprised by Laura Dern. I'd seen her in movies as a kid, and I'd never seen her in a role like this as the sexualized young woman. And probably the first time I saw her naked. A lot. There's a lot of nudity in this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of
Sure
sex.
is.
Uncle
There's a real
Pooch.
focus. Oh my God, I loved that scene. Was that the dude who loves Christmas?
No, Uncle Pooch. Uncle Pooch was the one that they used to rape me when I was 13.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Ugh.
Or that.
But Mama didn't know nothing about that one.
But you remember she also had this crazy uncle who was obsessed with Christmas.
That was Jingle Dale.
Jingle Dale.
Yep.
Can I just say this?
Jingle-
David Lynch.
Jingle Dale
gives
would
this-
take cockroach in the anus.
He gives this. Yeah. He gives this master class on screenplay writing, and his thing is transcendental meditation. He believes that that's the key to creativity, and I think maybe there is something to it. But I mean, I'm not in the right to criticize David Lynch.
Uh-huh.
I just feel like his movies, when he's writing them, he just throws whatever the fuck he's feeling at that moment in the movie. I just wonder
Like-
where the hell some of this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Like the Pink Fairy.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz aspect of it as well. Yeah. Pink Fairy.
Well,
We gotta follow the yellow brick road, sailor.
that was all supposed to be her. I got the feeling that the whole movie was supposed to be based around her psychosis.
Okay.
Because everybody actually had. There was the constant Wizard of Oz reference stuff, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, that was a lot of the backstories that were supposed to be people like that, too. Her Uncle Pooch didn't have a heart. Jingle Dave that didn't have a brain.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah,
I think you're onto something, Stevie.
yeah. Well, and even the later on, right? There was the weird dude with the dog.
Yeah.
My dog, he don't bark. You imagined a dog that was barking, and that wouldn't be my dog.
He's a rocket scientist.
You could imagine Toto.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. This is a wild trip of a movie. I think it's one of my favorite Nick Cage movies right now.
I did get a kick out of the mosh pit,
Oh yeah, you get to see Cage mosh.
and then take over the mosh pit to a nice Hound Dog ballad.
Yeah, you get some Nick Cage singing in it.
Oh yeah.
Willem Dafoe plays a pretty awesome character, Bobby Peru, with some funny looking teeth and an accent. And I really like Harry Dean Stanton, plays Johnny Farragut. That guy's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Very good job.
Yeah, it's a great cast. I mean, basically, the story is they're trying to go to California, but Sailor, who's with Lula, right? He used to work. He was a driver for who was it? The other guy.
Sanos?
Like her dad or some shit.
Was it Sanos?
No, it was Santos's enemy, I think. The other guy.
Oh. Not William Dafoe.
No. No. Anyway, I didn't quite understand that dynamic, I'll be honest.
I didn't understand
Why
most
the
of
hell?
movie.
Why did she hate him so bad? Lula's mother just wanted him dead. And she goes to the extreme. She's using her sensuality to get Harry Dean Stanton to hunt him out. But then I guess she's impatient, so she calls Santos, who is like the dude you don't want to have to call because he's gonna just kill everybody, I guess.
But isn't she also
He's gonna do it
fucking
his
him
way?
too? She was.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then Mr. Reindeer. That's who you were talking about, right? Mr. Reindeer's the guy with the dog.
I think so. I don't know. I at that point I really started losing track of who was who. By the point I got to that in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were so many bizarre random scenes that happened all over the place that
Yeah.
I made note of like a bunch of pointless conversations or pointless scenes that
Yeah.
I just didn't fucking get. There was a fantastic scream track at some point in the movie where it was literally like somebody sitting with like one of those 90s like the soundboards that we used to play around with. Literally just
Okay.
had one scream and they just kept hitting the same screen. It was supposed to be like the crowd screaming at the mosh pit, and it was just the same scream track. And like at one point they were like ah 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 ah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was really intense.
You know,
There was the random
weird
scene
thing-
with some old dude taking a dump with a stripper. And then another random scene, another completely random scene of some unknown black guy walking down the street with another weird dude just walking by making monkey sounds at him.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. They go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
So we get some New Orleans in there. Did you remember there's the lady singing and there's a close up of her singing for a good 10-15 seconds and it's obviously overdubbed. Her lips are not matching the music. It's just like, God, why is some of this stuff in there?
And the weird voices too, right? The pigeons spread disease.
It's so weird that I don't know, I like it. It's
Yeah.
just so unique. Just makes me smile because I have no idea what the hell these people were on. I mean, like, this is a movie about sex and rock and roll and murder, but did you notice there was no drugs in it?
Well, I made note
Yeah.
of that too. I wasn't sure if the fire, because every time there was a scene with fire or cigarette lighting, or it was typically with the cigarettes, the metal music
Yeah.
would start, and it was almost like, and then you'd get like this really intense visuals too. And I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a symbol of drugs or something like that. That maybe
Yeah.
it was an artistic choice to use cigarettes, but we were implying, I don't know, cocaine, meth, whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of it in that way, as if they took the drugs explicitly out, but then they're in there in a more symbolic way, metaphoric way.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not have drugs in this whole thing with all these criminals and, you know, having sex all the time, metal music, like, just some of the decisions of the characters. Gotta be.
Well, that's what I thought for a while until it got near the end. It was the roadside mosh pit that got me when they were driving down, and she's like, "I just can't fucking take it anymore." And she pulls over, they turn on the metal music, and they just start like thrashing on the side of the road. It was at that point that I started thinking it was more about her trauma, and so every time she sees the fire, it reminds her of her dad getting murdered.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think that
Yeah.
sounds really good.
Yeah.
It's a movie about trauma. So in her mind, her mom is like that, but in reality, her mom maybe isn't quite as psycho.
I assume her mom is psycho. I mean, evidently her mom was the one that orchestrated the murder of her own husband. So
Uh-huh.
I think she is nuts, but I think she's also like very, very clingy and attached, and I think that this girl has other issues, parental issues of just,
Yeah.
because of that, and so the disconnect of her mother, as well as the psychosis of her father being killed, is just collapsing her entire mental state.
I see.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
trailer park was fucking awesome.
The trailer park?
Or whatever the fuck it was with when William Dafoe showed up and all the fatty
Yeah.
strippers and the
Oh, yeah.
and the magic, the random magic after the dude with the dogs, the rocket scientist, the other dude just starts to like close up magic tricks.
It's a wacky one.
Yeah. And then Ranger Rick, whatever the hell he was doing there, he looked like a local marshal or something.
Yeah, so I guess we might as well just sum up the ending here. So Nick Cage and Lula, they're on the run. They've made it as far as Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they're out of money. So Willem Dafoe, Bobby Peru, I think is his character's name,
Yeah.
convinces Nick Cage to take part in a small-time robbery, so he could take half. I think it was like $5,000 or something, and Nick Cage could have half of it. But also, part of that deal was that Nick Cage didn't know about was Bobby Peru was in contact with what's his name, Santos,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he was gonna kill Old Sailor. He was gonna kill him. But it kind of went all wrong. And Nick Cage escapes the situation after Willem Dafoe gleefully murders the bank people. Is that what it was? A bank?
I think it was.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
But they were the most badass tellers ever.
yeah. And he runs out hoping to kill Nick Cage, but there's Billy Badass the cop outside. You sons of bitches. And he shoots Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe's like, "Oh, I've been shot. Oh, I've been shot again. Oh, I've been shot again. I might as well just blow my head off with my own shotgun."
Well, he tripped.
Is that he tripped?
Yeah, he tripped. He fell down
looked like-
and
yeah.
the shotgun just went off in his face because that happens
But
sometimes.
it just looks so deliberate to me. I
Yeah,
might as
it
well
did.
just do this.
The reason for that is because of the American release, I guess. Because that scene being so graphic, they had to kind of haze it over and cut it out to keep it away from an X rating in the States.
Steve, are you messing with me?
No,
right now?
seriously. To keep it away from an X rating, they had to put haze and kind of cover that scene up a little bit because watching him actually blow his own head off was the line for an X rating in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I was entertained by that scene, to say the least. But Nick Cage goes back to jail. He goes back to jail, and while he's in jail, he starts to get the hots for one of the other cops, and gets out, and then they get together and finds out that that cop he's with can't have a baby, so they got to steal a baby.
It's all connected.
Oh,
I
I'm
knew it.
sorry. I'm sorry. That's the wrong movie. Oh, that's right. Were you guys amused at all when Laura Dern finds out she's pregnant? She's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant. Oh my god." It's just like, yeah, you think you've been having sex this whole movie. Every other scene.
Nick was excited. He lit a second one for him and one for the baby.
Yeah. So he gets out 6 years later,
Yeah.
meets up with her and his boy, and she just can't handle it. She's having the breakdown, which helps support Steve's psychosis theory, and decides that it's probably just best if he leaves now. And says his goodbyes and walks away. And as he walks away, he's surrounded by a mob of
90s
thugs. Yeah, 90s kids. He's surrounded by a gang who then invite him in to become the leader of the gang.
Gone in 60
And-
seconds. I
Wait a
wrote,
second.
when I saw the gang walk up to him, I wrote, Gone in 60 Seconds prequel.
I was trying to tie it into Rumblefish.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, no. Actually, what happens is he's met by a fairy, the nice fairy, who reveals to him that love is all that matters, and he shouldn't deny love when it's there. And so he decides to run back after Lula and be with her. Right? And that's the ending right there, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
What a crazy movie.
Pretty good.
If a lot of people love each other, the world be a better place.
Thank you, Tommy.
You want to fuck like a bunny?
Oh, man.
Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me.
Why does every Nicolas Cage movie have some form of sexual assault in it?
Yeah.
Every
it's
every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it just
See
Nick
what's
Cage,
there.
or was it just the times where that was?
Yeah, it was just their culture
Yeah.
at the time.
Did you know that David Lynch actually only directed the first 6 episodes of Twin Peaks season 2 because he was making this movie?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
That makes a lot of sense. This almost seems like an extension of that universe because it's so wacky and shit.
Yeah.
And just like kind of melodramatic. It's almost like a soap opera in a way. Which is
Yeah.
kind of fun.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It wasn't what I expected. Definitely intense at times. Makes you feel uneasy. But then some of the intense parts also kind of roll over into, like you said, melodrama or even black comedy. I can't help but laugh.
Especially when he was telling Lula the story about the other girl that he grabbed her by the pussy.
Yeah. Yep.
It's good times. Good times.
I feel like this is a movie that really deserves the DVD extras to be watched to understand the
Sure.
behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
how he was cast, what shooting was like. But all these things being said about the continuity, the seeming randomness of it all. With David Lynch, though, that's his script. That's his mind.
Mhm.
There's a sort of cohesiveness to it, despite that.
Yeah.
Compared to something like Time to Kill, where it just looks like they shot some scenes and slapped them together and tried to make a coherent story.
So I do have
And
a
they-
question.
They did not.
I do have a question. There was one line in the movie that reminded me of another movie, and it was William Dafoe when he was saying, "It'd be like taking candy from a fucking baby." And for some reason, and I thought it was Boondock Saints, But I went back and I looked, and it was definitely not Boondock Saints. And I can't think of another movie of William Dafoe that has that type of character. But it just... Spider-Man.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of roles.
Yeah. I did enjoy his character. What?
It was Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls.
I'm the only one that played that game.
Was it the Death Note live action?
Oh dear God, no. We don't speak of that film.
No.
That I get PTSD about that. That movie was like personally offensive to me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, guys, should we start the cage fight portion of this? If it even matters at this point. I'll go first. If you are making me choose between Time to Kill and Wild at Heart, it's going to be Wild at Heart for me. I will pay money to never have to watch Time to Kill again. I even have it on VHS on my desk right now, and I don't know what to do with it. I have Nick Cage's beautiful blue eyes staring at me, an innocent man who just went over the edge of reason, and I just want to break it.
I'm all for Time to Kill.
Steve.
I'm serious.
Steve!
Wild at Heart had no continuity. I had no idea what was going on in that movie at any point in time. It was random scenes, and the intensity was done in the beginning of the movie. In the first 5 minutes, it had peaked. Everything else after that was just senseless, ridiculous garbage. So there was no level. There was no way for Cage to exceed the movie, because his biggest Cage out was 3 minutes into the movie.
All right.
He had no room to grow. But throughout Time to Kill, there was a healthy progression. I don't say that I agree with the overall plot of the movie, but it had a concise point and a good direction, and Nick's character evolved into a level of insanity that at the end you were just like, the fuck did I just watch? That's what we expect out of a Nick Cage movie. It has to last the entirety.
You're saying Time to Kill kept your attention better than Wild at Heart?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to know what was going to happen next. I wanted to know. But Wild at Heart, I already knew. I already knew it was just going to be fucking nuts. There was no surprise. The only surprise was just, wait, did I hear that right? What? But Time to Kill, built.
Mm-hmm. Would you...
You know...
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, that's a really good point, Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, while I don't think that Time to Kill's story was good, I did find it a little easier to follow than Wild at Heart. I feel like I liked Wild at Heart more just from an artistic standpoint and just subject matter, but I feel like I need to give it another watch because it had that David Lynch insanity. There were parts of it where I didn't really know what was actually happening, and but I do think that what was happening in Wild at Heart was more interesting than what was going on in Time to Kill.
See, I still think Time to Kill had an interesting direction to it. The goal was truly to understand or possibly normalize the idea that this is the kind of things that go on. This is how these cultures work. This is how the subjugation of these cultures work, and the way that they built upon that throughout, starting with, the rape in a forest to entire communities that respect and abide by the laws of the white man. It was truly well captured in that movie.
I didn't think it was well captured in that movie.
Yeah.
I think it was
completely
touched upon.
disagree.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I felt that Time to Kill was too wayward. It wasn't able to hone in on the message it was meant to communicate.
Yeah,
Well,
it kind of missed the point.
Yeah.
It missed the point. Yeah.
And clearly the box art proves that. they didn't understand it at the time either.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, looking at this, 30 years later, I think honestly, if this same script was put in a new director's hand, that this could actually be a good movie if it was produced today.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you take the script at Wild at Heart, it's going to be the same fucking thing. And I think truly, I think nobody could do Wild at Heart except for Nick Cage. I think that Time to Kill could be done by a different artist, or I shouldn't say artist, by a different actor, and still be good. But I think if you
Could I
take
say
Nick Cage, go for it.
Could I say something bold? I think that Cage was better in Time to Kill than he was in Wild at Heart.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take.
I feel like his character was more dynamic in Time to Kill.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you could argue he was kind of a one-note Elvis Presley type character in Wild at Heart.
And he was a rewatched character. He was basically the same as Raising Arizona.
I don't know. I just
Well-
felt like there were so many cagey moments
Yeah.
in Wild at Heart.
Yeah,
Like that scene where he points at Lula's mom, and they even show it again in a flashback. That is just iconic
Perfect.
Cage.
Yeah.
But still the first 5 minutes.
Well, they brought it back. Plus the singing. It's got a musical aspect to it. I would love if Time to Kill were a musical, but they decided not to go that route.
You got to go to Broadway for that.
Disney wouldn't give him the rights.
Yeah. I respect it, Steve. I'm glad that we're having some conflict here. But, man, I cannot watch Time to Kill again. It was that draining for me to get through.
Yeah.
But I hadn't considered some of those ideas. I know that I definitely want to watch Wild at Heart again, and I actually want to watch it again because of what you said, Steve, and seeing it through the trauma of Laura Dern's character might give me a new take on it. But yeah, all right. So Steve chose Time to Kill. Sean, what do you think?
I think I've got to go Wild at Heart. I do think that Cage's performance was more dynamic in Time to Kill, but if you took out Cage from that movie, that movie has nothing else.
Yeah.
It's kind of a curiosity of a film. I mean, really, the only reason anybody's going to watch that movie is if they're doing what we're doing, just going through every Nick Cage movie.
I like how you put that.
Yeah.
Or if they're into interracial rape.
Thanks, Steve.
I'm just saying, that's another key point that people might be looking for in a movie.
The other reason I think this movie's hard to find is because of the naked kids in it. The naked Ethiopian kids running around.
Yeah.
And it's so strange that you can't find it for a wide release anywhere, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
Google's like, that's fine.
Right.
But you can't use that song.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
not-
I think it was the Valley Girl episode when we uploaded it to YouTube. We got a copyright strike for Johnny Are You Queer?
Oh, did we?
Yeah, but you can show naked kids. It's cool.
Yeah. As long as there's some Italian
Yep.
in there.
And
they're-
who doesn't love Johnny is a Queer Boy? That's a hit song.
That's true. Still
You know,
popular.
their music algorithms are on point, but their child penis algorithms are just
Yeah.
still
Not on
catching
point.
up. Yeah.
Oh man, Matt, what do you think?
Wild at Heart. It's one of the first Cage movies that I saw that I really liked his performance in, honestly. I was already more familiar, I'd say, with David Lynch than Nicolas Cage when I first started watching his films. So, yeah, I also really like the narrative of this this movie and how it there's so many
You're
different
lagging for me.
people. And it's just like that. How's it sound now?
Is he lagging for you, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, kind of. It's just really choppy.
Let me see if I can do anything about that.
You might be fine now. So you're saying you really like the narrative?
Yeah. There's a lot of all the characters are like archetypal characters. They're a role you're used to seeing, but just in a different body. And
Okay.
I just really like David Lynch's zany attitude about things, and like you said, I think his mindset plays well with Nicolas Cage. Like he's able to make him look real good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right on.
and Time to Kill, I feel like, I don't know, it's just hard to, like you said, I don't think I'd ever want to watch that again. Like Irreversible or something. It's like, man, even if there's a good point to this movie, it's just like I don't want to witness this ever again. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right on. So I'm sorry, Steve. The winner of tonight's battle is Wild at Heart. Don't be too upset, Steve. I thought you made some good points.
It's fine.
That was a
It's
harder
fine.
that was a harder cage fight than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I am actually really excited to see Wild at Heart go up against Raising Arizona, because I was getting major flashbacks from Raising Arizona just because of the structure. I mean, completely different genres of film, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. All right. So tonight's winner is Wild at Heart. I'll mark that down on our Cageography checklist. The next two movies we're going to be watching are Firebirds and Zandalee. I have seen neither of these films. You guys?
Yeah. No,
Nope.
don't know anything
I
about it.
I know nothing about them.
Excellent. All I know about Firebirds is it's like a Top Gun type movie, I think. Zandalee, I have no idea, other than he has a mustache in it. Nick Cage. Which is a good sign, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was another wonderful, spirited Cage conversation. Congratulations to our winner tonight, Wild at heart. You did a great job.
You really nailed it. You nailed it. You did so good.
And thanks, Matt, for being with us tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you. I do apologize for my audio issues. It seems to be the norm around here. But
I was having my fair share.
I'll try to get that worked out for our next one. But yeah, guys.
Should we talk about our podcast news?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and mention our podcast news, Sean. As I try to remember what our podcast news is.
We got a website now.
Oh yeah, we have a new website. Check it out. NickCageFight.com. Yeah, so make sure you get on there and see what that's all about. A great way to catch our latest podcasts, and it's also really cool how it's organized, so you can check out our special episodes as well. Also, we're planning a new series called Cageless. We're going to begin to explore films without cage in them, just as a way to branch out and just kind of chat about some other movies outside of the cage verse. So that'll be kind of cool to see how that comes together. Hope to have the first episode of Cageless out next month. So stay tuned for that as well. We'll keep trucking through and getting, the rest of Cage's movies knocked out. Yeah, having a blast with that. I think we actually only have 2 more cage fights, and then we're going to have the actual battle. And for the cage fight itself, the season finale, we want to make that as fun as possible. So make sure you check that one out and see what that's all about, because I do want to change it up a little bit from last time and make it even more exciting. And may the best cage movie win. So yeah, we're also on Twitter now. We have a few episodes up on YouTube, Spotify. You can find us on almost all of the podcast streaming services out there. And yeah, we thank you all for listening to Late Night Cage Fight. Stay tuned for more. Later. Thanks, guys.
Oh, do you want me to
Oh,
stop
yeah.
it?
Almost right on the money for me. Yeah, I do, Steve.
I'm just kidding. I already did.